Shaman is a Tungus word. As a noun, it means one who is excited. And as a verb, it means to know in an ecstatic manner. Linguistic research has linked the word to the Sanskrit word sramana, or to the Turco-Tartar word kam, but the primary source of the word is less important than its expanding usage as a generic term for witch doctor. Medicine man. Shamanism is universal. Indigenous peoples across the earth have their own specific names for the shaman, and cultural belief system define the shaman's role. The evidence of the universality of shamanism suggests that it, like language, is hardwired into the human brain. Language, in the broadest sense, must include the written and spoken forms, literature, all artistic medium, myth, every systematic system of symbolism. When no language exists, one is created. Language is fluid. It changes to meet needs. It is a program of the brain that the mind fills as necessity dictates. It is not a giant leap of faith to insert shamanism into a similar neural category. In Shamanese, the language of the shaman, the language of ecstasy. Shaman is a Tungus word. If Shamanese is a program of the brain, the mind has used it less and less over the generations. The role of the shaman was essential to the hunter culture, but diminished to the role of priest or clown in the agri-societies, and eventually fell asleep, only to appear in flashes of art, science, mystic revelation. Still, if one considers the 500 generations of agri-industrial society against the millennium of hunter-gatherer cultures, the remnants of Shamanese are still perceptible. Researcher Michael Harner makes the following observation on the primary roots of shamanism. The ancient way is so powerful and taps so deeply into the human mind that one's usual cultural belief systems and assumptions about reality are essentially irrelevant. The powers of the shaman still linger at the threshold of human consciousness, hardwired into the brain, but forgotten. The magic, conjuring, healing, clairvoyant skills of the shaman are still available. One must only access them, activate. Shamanese is not just the secret language of the conjurer, but a graduated language with elements that apply to and give power to each individual in the social structure. Its roots sink deep into instinct and intuition and are still reflected in cliches like being in the zone, use the force, hold your mouth right. Technology is a perfect example of an analogy of the relationship of Shamanese to the social structure. We all use it. Who understands it? We all use it. Who understands it? Who understands? Transport any modern human back 10,000 years, and even the least of the natives would have a better grasp of Shamanese. The cosmology of the ancients was up close and personal. There was no church to go to for an hour on Sunday. Every action, every day, was interrelated with the tribal cosmology on the absolute level. Religion was not an abstract idea discussed and refined as theology. It was not discussed at all. It was a way of life. With no television, everyone watched her backside. There was no word for art. No word for art. The hunters didn't love nature. They were nature. Not the nature of some ivory tower poet praising the beauty of a flower, but the nature of an Arctic winter, or the nature of killing a bear with a stick. They were efficient and they were realistic in their perspective of nature, its beauty, and its wrath. Simply put, if it existed, it was natural. This perspective is often lost in the modern mind. But as an exercise, ask yourself, if it isn't natural, how did it get here? What is it? Where did it come from? By activating the portion of the brain associated with shamanese, it will be possible to gain a deeper understanding of this natural reality. To access the ancestral memories will open a wellspring of consciousness that most people have never drank from. The artist, the mystic, the scientist have been tapping this source with or without awareness for centuries. It is the de facto source of the creative process that fuels the technology we all depend upon. It might be interesting to explore the possibilities of the primary source, but how does one become a shaman? Who has published the dictionary of shamanese? Research has shown a broad spectrum of initiation into the shamanistic reality, from entry through excessive, extensive suffering to instant entry. The diversity of pathways to shamanistic power lends credence to the notion that it is a reflection of an existing brain function, a door waiting to be opened, a vessel waiting to be filled. All that is necessary is a triggering mechanism, an instant revelation, a drug experience, a conscious quest, or a brush with death through war, accident, or illness. The mind is open to shamanese. It is like the feeling you get after a close call when you acted instinctively and averted a disaster. Listen to the echo of shamanese. First, the mind must be open to the concept of infinite possibilities. Everything you know is right. Everything you believe is wrong. Clean the slate. The only thing you have to fear is fear. Dive in, relax, take the easy path. It is your heritage. Dive in. It is your destiny. Relax. Return to the village. Take the easy path. Reunite with nature. Imagine nature as earth, sky, and water. Imagine energy as fire. Imagine a tree of life with roots in the earth and branches reaching toward the heavens. Imagine time with an inside and an outside. Inside is a regulated clockwork, a three-dimensional reality. Outside is everything else. Listen for the word to describe the border. Create it if you can't hear it. Remember it. Listen to the repetition of the drum, of the rattle, of your blood pulsing through your ears. Think of circles within circles, wheels within wheels. This is the tunnel. Enter the mouth of the tunnel. It is regression into the birth canal. It is the cave from whence all people originated. It is the subway to the outside of time. Try not to impose any order on the tunnel. Just pass through it. If you meet anything or anyone, go around. Go around. Don't worry about how far. Oh, how long. Continue until it ends. Be open to the possibilities at the end of your quest. If you make it to the other side, observe and enjoy. Don't bring anything back. You are on a mission of indoctrination. You have no other goal than to observe the foundation of creation. When the time is right, return from the tunnel. Back inside time, you will have a new perspective on the mundane. Verbalize the word that describes the border between the inside and outside of time. Paint it, sing it, carve it in stone. Paint it, sing it, carve it in stone. It is the primary of shamanese. Say the word and you'll be free. The shaman uses the tunnel across the earth. In some cultures, he enters a hole in the floor, a cave, or the mouth of a spring. As much ancient art in caves reflects the ritualistic task of primitives seeking the supernatural. The representation of circles within circles or squares within squares, a graphic interpretation of the tunnel. If you're going from here to there, you must have some sort of passage. Modern theology equates the underground with hell, but this belief is not appropriate for ancient cosmology. Usually the underground was no more evil than any other portion of reality. Once outside conventional time, the shaman contacts other forces, supernatural beings, conduits of intuition, power animals, and uses their knowledge and power to solve problems or attain personal power. Upon his return, he shares this energy with his group in the form of healing and animal location, clairvoyance, other forms of mysticism. In many cultures, the rite of adulthood involves a vision quest, making all tribal members at least slightly aware of the methods of the shaman, of the whispers of shamanese. The youth left in a sacred spot, sometimes for days, starved, perhaps drugged. The youth waits for the vision. When it comes, he is brought back into the fold and might be waiting the better part of his life for the true meaning of his experience to be revealed. At the opposite end, he might become an apprentice and learn Shamanese, the language of ecstasy. The vision quester might ally with an animal, a geological phenomenon, a celestial body, even a plant. Remember, in this cosmology, everything has a spirit, and one has only to listen with the proper authority to gain the wisdom of the wind. Rhythm is the core of the transcendence in most shamanistic rituals. The drum is beat at about 200 beats per minute by the shaman or an assistant, and the hypnotics of the rhythm induce the necessary trance. But as primary as the drum seems to be, one must assume that it was preceded by the gourd rattle. The drum represents a technology generations past the gourd, which occurs naturally without technology. One must assume that the earliest shamanese was composed on the gourd rattle around smoky fires in caves hidden in the distance of mythology. What does the shaman owe to the gourd? How has it taught him over time? How has it influenced mythology? Consider the cup. No one would contest that the gourd cup preceded wood or ceramic cups by generations. The ladle gourd looks like a birth canal with a baby inside its pregnant end, or a penis ready to fire. Or by cutting the handle and body, it becomes a funnel. Hung from the body, it is a canteen. Stood up, it is a long-necked vase for storage. And grapes and wheat, left for months, might provide another vehicle to shamanese, language of ecstasy. As a gourd dries, it loses mass, but the seeds adhere to the sides and will not shake unless brought to life by tapping the outer shell. The drier it gets, the louder it plays, until it eventually breaks and dies, and the seeds are harvested, and the shell perhaps turned into a mask. What could the student of shamanese learn from this oldest cultivated plant? His first musical instrument, storage vessel, symbol of male and female. Grow your own. You must wait a year to investigate the shaman-gourd relationship. Study it as it matures. Watch the plants expand. Each gourd is an individual. Dry it. Some disintegrate into pulpy masses of death. Some are loud. Others barely perceptible when shaken. Find a peaceful spot with good energy. Shake the gourd, maybe two. Set a fast pace and continue until you are ready to sing. Sing the words that describe the boundaries between the inside and outside time. Enter the gourd. Find the tunnel. Transcend the moment. Sing the word. It is the Big Bang at the outset of time, the ultimate act of creation. Now, find silence. He who knows speaks not. Now you are on the outside of time. Remember the word. Activate the universe. Create your own mythology. Listen to the trees whispering in ancestral memory, telling the story of a people dancing around a fire under a crystal starlit night, dancing without clothing but not naked. They are wearing the universe. In the reflection of their eyes is your reality. The tree of life is still growing. The gourd is still shaking. The drum is still singing. Shamanese, language of ecstasy. Shaman is a Tungus word.